Devo Jones with the pick six, Keanu O'Neal with the hard hit, getting the ball back on offense. Watch Julio Jones keep moving the sticks. Calvin Ridley in for the score. We came back, we up 4, about to get in. Our victory stance, no coming back. We closing the door. ATL blackout. ATL blackout.
Welcome to the show today, baby. This your boy Jimbo Dean, aka Jimbo Slice, aka Jimmy Obama. And you can call me any one of those you want. Well, please do not call me down no damn New Orleans Saint fan. It's Pound ATL, baby, and we are back. Great Tuesday, baby. And a lot done happened, and we got a lot to talk about. JR, Big Mike, we talked to you, JR. What is going on, big baby? How are you feeling?
Man, feeling pretty good. Feeling pretty good. I couldn't imagine coming in here on another loss, being 0-5, and feeling pretty good. How about you, Mike?
I would tend to agree. I think that we've experienced some changes at Flowery Branch. I think some changes that a lot of us have mentioned that might have taken a bit too long. And I think Howie Long said it best. I thought he was a well-respected soldier, a well-liked soldier, but not a good general. Sometimes well-respected soldiers don't necessarily make the best.
That's it.
I throw it back to you.
I mean, but that is, the sentiment, right? That is the thing. As for the people who, for whatever reason, don't know, after another embarrassing loss on Sunday against the Carolina Panthers, Arthur Blank elected to go ahead and relieve Dan Quinn and Thomas Dimitroff of their duties going forward for the rest of the season. Now, what came later was the instatement of Raheem Morris as the interim head coach, and we will get into all of the details, so to speak, as we go throughout the show, but don't want to, quote-unquote, bury the lead, as they say. So Dan Quinn is no longer the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, and Thomas Dimitroff is no longer the general manager of the Atlanta Falcons. I know the latter will make people as happy as the former. But just like you said, Mike, not all soldiers make good generals. And for that analogy, to break that down, not all coordinators make good head coaches. We see that year in and year out. We can point to a myriad of different coaches that are on the hot seat, have already been fired in Bill O'Brien, and who potentially are going to be fired in Adam Gase and maybe even in Lynn out there with the Chargers, because he seems not to be able to finish out games either. So not all coordinators make good head coaches, but what else can you do, right? You take what these guys have done and you hope that they can translate. Just like when you draft a guy from college, you draft a stud and hope that his game is going to translate. Many times it doesn't translate. Many times he ends up being a bust. We're going to get into some of those busts even on our team as far as, college players or whatnot. But we'll go ahead and say, at least I will say, and I put out this tweet, some of y'all may have seen it or not. I put out this tweet that a lot of people were going to thank Dan Quinn and, give you the whole he was a good guy speech and all this other stuff. Oh, that's fine and dandy. Yeah, okay, he was a good guy. But it became pretty evident that he was not a good head coach. And it became extremely evident that our success in 2016 had nothing to do with Dan Quinn. That he himself could not guide an organization. This became more and more apparent as the years went on. As he got rid of other coaches and, tried to step in and fix it himself, or, and that failed, it just became absolutely apparent that he had no clue how to adjust. When what he knew wasn't working, he couldn't make the necessary adjustments. And let's go ahead and call it. That's what separates you. That's what makes you a head coach. Can you make the necessary adjustments? And can you even see what the necessary adjustments are to be made? So, Jimmy, what is your initial thoughts? I rambled on there for a few minutes with my stepping off my soapbox now.
No, you got to get it in, JR, because we all feeling a certain type of way about this situation. Now, some people are happy, some people ain't too happy because ultimately Dan Quinn was a good guy. But unfortunately, in the NFL, being a good guy don't win games. Right. And this is a place of business. We are the consumer, we are the fans, and we want good product on the field. Now, San Diego Chargers haven't became a meme, maybe because some people just ain't in a position to hate them like they like to hate us, to make us memes week after week. And we just got sick and tired of it. And Arthur Blanks got sick and tired of seeing us suffering. We were suffering. And it ain't that easy just to put up with it. So, I mean, thanks for what he have done to us. I really do appreciate it. But this is the game of football, and we don't have time to feel sorry for nobody. I'm sure he'll get a job somewhere in the league, but it's on to the next. Let's just start building this thing towards the future so we can stop being embarrassed and feeling like we just hopeless, man. It got old and it lasted way too long. And I'm kind of excited to be where we at right now, to be honest.
It is definitely, in a sense, it's definitely an exciting time. It's not where we want to be. Where we want to be is winning, and where we want to be is contending. Right. That's always been my statement, my mantra as a Falcons fan. I can deal with a loss as long as you're not an embarrassment. These last, 3 or 2 years and 5 games, we have been an embarrassment, right? Mm-hmm. And therein lies the problem. I can handle a loss if you're competitive. I can handle my team not making the playoffs if you're competitive. I can handle not winning in the playoffs if you're competitive. When you stop becoming competitive is when I start having a problem. And these last 3 years, not any time since 2016 have I felt comfortable watching a Falcons game. Like, as a joke, as a thing, just for chuckles, my wife took my temperature during a Falcons game. I tell you not, and I do not lie to you, Jimmy, and I do not lie to you folks in chat. My body temperature was creeping up on 100 degrees because of watching this game, of any game. Yeah. We checked it 3 hours after the game was over. My body temperature is back to normal. And they're quite literally having a physical effect on me.
Yeah.
And that ain't cool.
On all of us. I don't know. It ain't cool at all.
No, you're right.
How you feel about it?
Yeah, what you got, Mike?
What you think? Don't get fired up either, now, cause it could happen.
I don't think I can say anything that JR hasn't said, to be honest with you, because I think, to your point, we saw this coming, right? And I think it's kind of one of those things where it puts us in an interesting position as Falcons fans, right? Because we really have to assess what our future is going to look like, right? And I think this is a time where, as a fan, here's the thing: everybody's got an opinion. This is a time where may the best opinion win, because I've seen every potential scenario out there, and everybody's passionate about what they believe in, right? So I think we need some new blood. And I think, like I said, let's not forget, this was one of those buy one, get one free as well. So Dan Quinn, Thomas Dimitroff, put you guys together in tandem. So got you guys out of town, right? Now, I think who we get at the general manager position is important as well, too, because how we build our team with what we currently have is going to shape the next 3 to 4 years of our franchise. Because if we don't do it right, we could easily and quickly become like a New York Giants. Think about how they were. Think about the destruction of that franchise to an extent, right? So I don't think look at the talent that we have. Look at the young nucleus we have. We've got a Marlon Davis, right? We've got Dante Fowler under contract for a couple of years. We've got to make some decisions with Ridley. We got McKinley. It's so many decisions going on in this particular offseason that I think we really got to pay attention to. Again, who are the head coaches out there? You know what I mean? It's just so many variables. So,
I want to ask you this first, JR, and then maybe you can answer too, Mike. Which one y'all want to come first? The GM and the head coach, or the head coach then the GM? Because certain organizations like to get one first and let the one pick the other. That's going to be something to think about as well too.
It is going to be something to think about for sure. and what they're going to have to do, whichever they choose to go first. I don't care which one comes first, but if they go for GM first, they need to make sure the GM is heavily involved in the coach. Because what you don't want is a situation where you had in Houston where the head coach is wanting to start basically getting in fights with every GM, right?
Yeah.
So that's what we don't want to see, don't need to see. Okay? Mm-hmm. So what I want to see is whoever they go with, if they pick coach first, then I need him to be heavily involved in the GM search. If they pick GM first, I need him to be heavily involved in the coach search.
Right.
What about you, Mike? And then we're going to jump into chat because it's popping off as y'all figure.
Well, I love it. I love it. But let me also ask you this, though, on top of that, right? Okay, so, we look at, GM, coach, all of that good stuff, and we think, we look to ourselves, right? We say, if a Tony Dungy is out there, people like that. I think we really need somebody with some real vision first, because Rich Mckay, are we going to allow Rich Mckay to hire another Thomas Dimitroff? Do we take that power out of Rich McKay's hand as well, right? So that's kind of my thought as well. So let's get the chat, man.
All stuff, this is all stuff we're going to get into as we go
that's
in.
Right. That's right.
Both Bug and Jaden said hello. What's going on, guys and gals?
What's going on?
Wheezy B says, what it do, my Atlanta brothers? The sun is finally shining on us. In a sense, yeah. I mean, the cloud has rolled away. You can't wonder anymore if he's going to be fired. He's gone, Speed Falcon for Life says, let's go. We did it, guys. DQ and TD are gone. But still mad at Dirt Cutter's still here. Yes, I am still mad that Dirt Cutter
So wait a minute. This is turning into a party? So this is turning into a party?
Right. We're going to keep it going. Wound Carter says,
these guys are partying.
Eyes up, pound for pound family. JR, would you would you cut a rant about Dirt Cutter? Because I believe he's behind why Matt Ryan is playing like he is. We're going to get into all this. I promise y'all.
Oh, yeah.
We got an hour plus. We're going to get into every bit of this. There's a lot to talk about. Gregory says, what up? Difference a week makes, fellas. Exactly. That's right. I'm smiling. It ain't because we won, but at least there was some movement. All right, so Redbird Eagle said, so Dabo and Trevor, ? We're going to get into that.
Here we go.
We're going to get into that. That's talk. But hey, if you're going to bring Dabo and Trevor, you better bring Brett Vilema too. Or Brett Venom.
Oh, yeah, I like him.
You better bring him too.
Yes.
Okay.
Man,
their defense is one of the reasons why they're as successful as they are.
Yes, so
Grady Jarrett would love that. Grady Jarrett would love that.
Let's see. When will we move on from Dirt Cutter? Again, we're going to get into all that. Marlon Davis has COVID-19. It's going to hurt. Is it really going to hurt? I mean,
if it's isolated,
right.
It ain't.
If it's isolated, it ain't. So. We'll just set him to the side, plug Deidre Sanat in, and let him go.
Let Kaminsky keep
growing.
Let
Kaminsky keep going.
That's all.
Brandon Levy says, apparently I'm speaking gospel like a preacher in the pulpit. Well, we try to spread the good word where we can, Brandon. So
that's right.
All right, we're going to scroll on down some more. Let's see. Okay. Curtis Roberts says GM is most important. I believe he was referring to your comment about which do you hire first, GM or coach.
Oh, yeah.
I think, like I said before, whichever way they decide to go, I want the other one to be heavily involved. What I don't want to see, what I don't want to hear about is backbiting and infighting. That's the worst thing possible, Gregory Brown says, we got to get rid of that 28-3 stench. Got to get it correctly. I mean, this step number one, I guess. I mean, unfortunately, as long as MR2 is slinging the rock, you're going to continue to have it, have that stench around you. But like I said, we'll get into that. So far, Speed Falcon thinks Dante Fowler was an overrated signing. I don't know yet. It's still, look, right now, Grady Jarrett don't even look like a monster. So, I'm hesitant to pin any one defensive performance right now. Let's see. Fred Butt says, I admit I was wrong about DQ, JR. Holy crap, Fred Butts.
Who Fred Bush you did? What
He
now?
admitted, you'll be okay, Fred, I promise. He said, as you know, I pounded the table for DQ, but his style didn't work with drafting little defensive players. Yeah, it's...
Fred Bush finally came around.
He did.
Huh?
All right, let's see. We're going to jump down to the bottom here. Let's see. Daniel Bell says, Matt Ryan and Julio Jones will stay. Defense and special teams will be fixed. We'll see. We'll see how all this goes. We got some things to talk about when it comes to that.
Right.
Kevlar Quip says, considering we promoted Raheem Morris to head coach, what does that say about Cutter's job security, especially when Morris is responsible for the terrible defense?
His name was written all over.
Yeah, well, we're going to see.
DC.
We're going to see. Look, you had to promote somebody, right?
I know, right.
So
We got to have somebody.
right, you had to promote somebody.
I think you said it. Hey, Pound Fire TL family, JR said, let's just be happy it wasn't Dirk
Yeah, that's
Cutter.
what I'm saying.
We'll take Raheem.
That's right.
We'll take him.
Tasman says, good to see y'all, fellas. What's going on, Tasman? We haven't seen him
What's up, Taz?
here in a while.
What's up,
I'm glad
Taz?
you decided to stop by, brother. B Strong says, I think the Falcons are going to come out fired up this week. Why would they come out fired up this week? Why ain't they been fired up from week 1?
I think he's trying to say that change of coaching might spark something, JR.
Well, we're going to see.
You might be right. You know what? That's a good point, because I was kind of like, what are we fired up about? But you're right. Raheem Morris, because Arthur Blank said this now. He left a glimmer of hope. He said if they go 11-0, Raheem Morris may be the head coach.
Okay, I got a
Mike.
conspiracy
Okay,
theory
Mike.
for y'all. Okay,
Mike.
about Raheem Morris. We're gonna get into here in a minute, but you know, I don't want to just jump right into that one. Not less than 20 minutes in, I may have people just diving off if I do that. But anyway, so when I made the comment, why would they get fired up now? This is not like a Houston situation. You can full on see animosity against the coach in Houston. You know, Bill O'Brien had stripped everybody of power, put it all on himself, from play calling to the GM to everything. Like, he left no other reason for that team to suck but Bill O'Brien, right? So it didn't shock me at all that when Bill O'Brien was gone, that they actually played better, right? Because when you have that like oppressive overlord type crap going on, or at least if that's what you're feeling, you know, then you're not going to play well, right? But to a man here in Atlanta, we were defending Dirk Cutter. Or not Dirk Cutter, Dan Quinn. We were defending him to a man.
Yep.
I didn't hear anybody, even Todd Gurley, who's only played 5 games with us, was defending Dan Quinn.
That's
right.
Okay, so it's hard for me to believe that you're going to go out there and win one for the Kipper when, you know, the Kipper's gone now. You had 5 weeks to win one for the Kipper. You had 5 weeks to win one for, you know, Dan Quinn and show him, Arthur Blank, that, you know, y'all wanted this man to stay around. But you didn't do it, right? You couldn't do it.
Right.
You couldn't hold a lead.
Right.
You couldn't salt away a lead. You couldn't make a simple throw in the end zone to tie the damn game.
Yeah.
As I said before we got started, fellas, I only own 2 jerseys. I've only ever bought 2. One, they're kind of expensive, and I'm cheap. Let's just call it, right? I'm cheap. And so I don't spend money like that. But the 2 jerseys that I've bought have number 2 on them. Okay? So let's give everybody who's new here a little bit of my backstory. I didn't start watching football until 2008. Guess who got drafted in 2008? Matt Ryan. So, as far as watching live football is concerned, Matt Ryan's been my quarterback for 13 plus years now. Now, I have obviously went back into the archive vaults and watched, you know, Vic and Barkowski and Redmond and, you know, all these other guys. But Matt Ryan has been my dude. I have defended Matt Ryan and will continue to defend Matt Ryan until he hangs it up and retires. I think he gets crapped on way more than he should. You know, that's just my opinion, right?
You don't know.
But I will say flat out, when you throw the pick that you threw in the end zone in the 4th quarter, when you're trying to tie the game, That one's on you, boo-boo.
Mm-hmm.
That one's your fault. Ain't nobody perfect. And this is when I start to get the feeling that these past 2 games, I feel like Matt Ryan has lost confidence. I feel like he's lost confidence in his OC. That could just be me projecting my disdain for Dirk Cutter onto Matt Ryan. But I also feel like maybe he seeing shadows of last year of getting sacked 50 times when he got sacked 5 times in Green Bay. There are things that are affecting his play and affecting his judgment. He was missing wide open receivers who are not even seeing wide open receivers on Sunday.
And that play calling got a lot to do with it. I really do. This is vanilla. And it don't get no vanilla than this, y'all. Trust me. Watch the tape, man. This guy, Dirk Cutter, can't make his mind up on what he want to do. He don't know if he want to run the ball. He don't know if he want to throw the ball. He don't throw. When they do run routes, it's just one deep route. I'm like, wow, you got 1 post and 2 outs. And man, come on, you got to work better than that down the field. He just don't run plays to really get the ball over the top like you should. He got Absolutely. 1 player going deep. If you look at his offense, it's really vanilla. And I can see how that can confuse any quarterback. I don't care who you are.
No,
you know what I mean?
They are
right.
They are pathetic play calling, all the way around. I mean, yes, Todd Gurley finally rushed over 100 yards.
Right. See, there you go. You don't know what he
so he finally rushed over 100 yards, right? 5 games in. And
right.
Like you said, the play calling is so vanilla and so predictable that it's no wonder, that, like I said, it's no wonder that it seems like Matt Ryan has lost confidence.
But did we have like only 100-yard rusher last year too?
No, Dirk Cutter ain't gonna run the ball. That's just.
See, there you go. He don't know what he want to do, man. He got to go.
That's.
Right.
That is what that is. Dirk Cutter is not a run first quarterback. And what it came out, some of the things that got reiterated today, that Matt Ryan wasn't consulted in the hiring of Dirk Cutter. They hired Dirk Cutter back because they felt like maybe the familiarity with Ryan would help.
That's dead wrong, man.
But why would you not consult the guy you pay
That's dead wrong.
over $100 million to? You know what I'm saying?
Right, exactly. I think that's why we start to the earlier person's point, right? We start with the general manager because what that tells me is Dan Quinn was making the Gatorade for the Falcons every day because everybody drank that Gatorade and said the same thing. Like they were crushed when this guy, they were crushed when this guy got let.
Yeah.
You look at the defenses. The defenses they've consistently underperformed year after year, game after game. Think about the psyche of that, right? Every game, we're in the last in the league. And at the end of the day, it is the coach, but it's also the players as well. I know the last couple of episodes, they think that, we're more, we don't like the coaches, get the coaches out of here. Yes, get the coaches out of here, but we're definitely going to have some difficult decisions to make on the defense, and we got to hit home runs over the next couple of years. We have got to find guys that pose a threat or pose some sort of intimidation to the offense, because quarterbacks circle us and say, yes, this is a game where I get my stats up. Their confidence instantly increases when they see our defense on the field, and that's unacceptable, and it's been unacceptable.
Yeah, you're right.
Very true. Let's jump into chat again. We're going to start with Anthony Wright. Anthony said, in Houston, defensive end J.J. Watt and Bill O'Brien got into a shouting match at practice, Watt calling him out for all the moves he made, getting rid of all-pro left tackle Dwan Brown and wide receiver Hopkins. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Animosity, you didn't have that here in Atlanta. So it's really going to be interesting to see how the team responds to this. Curtis Roberts says he is not running his offense. I'm not sure if maybe he's talking about, they still running Shanahan's offense. If that's the case.
Oh, I heard that.
If that's the case, maybe that's one thing Raheem Morris does. Maybe Raheem Morris walks down the hall, knocks on Curtis' door and says, do what you do, and walks away. Yeah. If that's the case, then so be it. If he's going to go out, at least let him go out doing what he wants, right? I mean, I know that's he's probably going to be fired at the end of the season anyway. I would like to have seen his name already gone,
with being K.
Right, with Kutwicka. Let's see. 50 mil, he says, I just want an innovative head coach who has connections to recruit great assistant coaches. That's what I've been saying, right? I want a creative coach.
Innovative.
Right.
I love that word. Innovative.
Like
Innovative,
we want to
word.
talk. Like a lot of people want to talk crap about Bill Belichick, you know, and I bring him up a lot because of the success he's had, right? Because of what they've been able to do up in New England. What has set him apart is the fact that he is able to coach the talent that he has, and he is able to make adjustments when needed. Okay, flat out. So yes, I want a coach who is innovative.
Innovation.
Right. That is a great word. That should be the key word. If there are any buzzwords going around Flowery Branch, it should be innovation, right?
Yeah, so
exactly.
Great.
Revolt Control Radio. I guess you probably think I'm not going to read your comments because you're a Saints fan, but I'm going to read them. You know, you put them out there. I'm going to read them. He says, "Wise up." I mean, rise up. I mean, who dat? All right, I got you. Look. You hope y'all better. All I'm saying to these Saints fans who like to be trolling us, y'all better hope you win it all this year. Because if y'all think we're in a bad cap situation, y'all are in a worse one. And your coach has some weird love affair with Tyson Hill, and y'all are becoming a meme. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, just keep talking.
You know,
keep on doing what you're doing, not doing your homework.
And guess what? Guess what? Revolt TV. Our players don't get. I don't know, inactive for games because they fight their own teammates on a team that's in a division race. Anyway,
exactly.
Rise up.
Rise up.
Not a problem.
Everybody is echoing. Yeah, it was dumb to bring back Cutter. Yeah, exactly. That's been my thing. Brandon Levy says should have fired Quinn last year. This is long overdue. Quinn could have been fired after the Super Bowl. Definitely could have been fired after the 1-7. After the 1-7,
I disagree with that.
After the Super Bowl,
you got to give him another chance. He might get you back there and actually win it this time, like the Broncos did that one year.
Do you know where I lost it with Dan Quinn? Where I lost my confidence, where I lost my respect, so to speak? At the end of the 2018 season, when he fired Sarkisian and Manuel.
Yep. When
that, to me, that is a move of a desperate coach. Right. Like, yes, Sarkisian and Manuel were still figuring it out. They were young coaches, but you knew that when you hired them. You knew that when you brought them in. Okay? You were the coach that, you know, enjoyed that young talent, that exuberant energy, right? That was one of your calling cards. And then you fired him. I don't think players lost respect for Dan Quinn at that point, but I'll tell you this. I lost respect for Dan Quinn at that point. These were your guys, you know, especially Marquand Manuel. Like, I could have slightly understood Sarkisian because his game plans looked kind of crazy at times. Looked like he didn't perform well against above average defenses, but you were still, you know, scoring points, and you were still running an offense that you wanted to run, like that outside zone stretch stuff that Dan Quinn was in love with.
And Matt Ryan numbers weren't that far off from that MVP Super Bowl season, not far at all. So it was really close, actually. Probably could have won the game.
And I wasn't. So when they made that statement, I was like, I didn't agree with it, but I was like, okay, I'm fine. You know, in 2016, Dan Quinn took over the play calling from Richard Smith, and the defense performed a little better. But again, I now have theories on that. You know, my quick theory on that is when your offense was scoring at the rate that it was scoring, the pressure was off the defense. Like, period, point blank. You know, and the defense could play fast and physical. The defense could play aggressive. It's easy to, I mean, Jimmy, you could probably speak to this better than I can for sure. You and Mike both, since y'all played the game. You know, when you are up and you can count on your offense to pretty much score every time they touch the ball, you can pin your ears back. You can take some chances. Because if you take a chance and you miss, it's okay. Offense going to pick it up.
That's right.
Absolutely.
And go ahead.
I agree. No, I agree. But and I'll even say the reverse of that. also with a defense. Because if you listen to what Ben Roethlisberger said the other week in his interview, he said the defense makes my job that much easier. Like, to have a quarterback that speaks about his defense in a way that they make his job easier, they make him comfortable. You know, that's the mark of a team that will play longer than we are, right? Because a lot of the times we ask ourselves, it's like, why are we currently in the position we're in right now? You know, because, you know, what it tells me is this: Raheem Morris won the game with musical chairs, you know, basically, because all of those guys you named, it's like, you know, they were like in just a circular wheel. You know, Richard Smith out the door, Marquand Manuel out the door. You know, like I said, Ben K. I mean, you named it, Brian Cox, and also there's another point. Let's focus on that point for a second. It seems like the coaches who are outspoken against Dan Quinn, the most outspoken, they hit the door the quickest. Brian Cox is another example. He spoke out about, you know, kind of Quinn's ways and beings, and they kind of got him out of there, right? It was almost like the way Dan Quinn ran his culture was a little bit more toxic than we saw on the surface. Because if you look at it, he's a guy. It's almost like you're working at a grocery store and you fire your buddy in the grocery store because, you know, he gives you the peace sign. He's kind of empathetic. It's really heartfelt. You know, he did everything right from you know, just his overall posture of the city. I mean, he just had on a Braves jersey and shirt last week, rooting on the home team. And again, I hope he's watching the Braves root on, you know, win tonight. You know, because, you know, and not thinking about the Falcons. He needs to keep that same energy. But I mean, to the same point though, right? It's like he did everything right for the city. But again, you know, we need a guy, like you said, that word innovative is important. We need somebody that's got a vision for the city, a vision for this team. You know, if you're a GM or you're a coach, you know, you're going to have the support of an owner, you know? So, I mean, like I said, we just need to get it right, you know, because Pat Mahomes is not going away, you know, like, you know, this is the new NFL, right?
Pat Mahomes not going away. If they get a halfway decent coach,
Lamar Jackson.
If they get a halfway decent coach down there in Houston, Deshaun Watson is going to take off. Lamar Jackson ain't going nowhere. Russell Wilson ain't going nowhere for quite a while. You know, this is where it's headed, right? And you know, we can transition this into talking about the comments made about Matt Ryan. Boy, I can't talk. Which is bad for a guy who's supposed to be talking right now. Anyway, but the point is that it became pretty clear that the message was starting to get stagnant. Like, the message of the brotherhood was falling on deaf ears. Like, to a point, like, I wouldn't watch the man's press conferences because he never said anything. I mean, coaches routinely don't say anything, but he didn't even say anything other than catchphrases and like punchlines kind of deal. Just like the man was running a t-shirt factory. And
like
every time.
You know, so anyway. So I'm sorry, GA Pyro Dog is in the chat giving Braves updates. Says Dodgers just walked in a run, 5-0, bases loaded, 1 out, top of the 5th. Apparently the Braves are doing real well. So we appreciate y'all who are listening to us while watching the Braves game and keeping us updated on the Braves stuff. Thank y'all.
Good job. Good job. That is an outstanding job.
See, this is a family right here. Y'all are keeping us informed as we go. So, but it's going to be ultimately important on who we bring in next. And now I'm going to go ahead and drop my conspiracy theory. Y'all ready for my conspiracy theory? What y'all gonna learn about me is I love my conspiracy theories, right? I got a tinfoil hat under here. Anyway, so, all right, I got to thinking about it. You named Raheem Morris as interim head coach, right? You got Rich Mckay as president, CEO of operations. Essentially, Rich Mckay is Arthur Blank incarnate. You know what I'm saying? He's the mouthpiece of Arthur Blank at this junction, right? So, with that being said, you name Raheem Morris interim head coach. You're dealing with a 36, soon to be 37, 35 to 36 or 36 to 37, somewhere in that range. I can't remember. A quarterback who is on the back end of his career. Okay. So, if Raheem Morris comes in and does a halfway decent job and starts to turn things around, right? And starts to make things look like you're a competent football team. Would it be much of a stretch to keep Raheem Morris on as the head coach? Because realistically, you can't get away from Matt Ryan for till the end of 2022. So you're talking about 2 more seasons before Matt Ryan's cap hit becomes palatable. Okay?
Right.
So when Matt Ryan's cap hit becomes palatable, you've given, Raheem Morris enough time to either sink or swim, and then you can flush the whole thing. Because the idea of trying to bring in a young up-and-coming coordinator, or not coordinator, but young up-and-coming coach, a la L.A. Rams, a la Green Bay Packers with Matt LaFleur, what have you, it's interesting. Like, are they going to want to be tied to an aging quarterback? You know what I'm saying? And an aging quarterback that may not necessarily, like, his skills may be starting to diminish a little bit. Because to a point where Arthur Blank made a comment about Matt Ryan's physical makeup, so to speak, in his press conference, talking about it was going to be, because when they asked him if Matt Ryan was directly still in their future plans, Arthur Blank's comments were, well, that's going to be for the GM and the coach and the player to decide.
Right.
Which I don't know if y'all find that to be an interesting comment or not, that he also threw in the player as well, whether Matt Ryan was still going to want to be here or not. Because you have to wonder, as you brought up, Mike, the cap situation, we're about to go into a full rebuild whether we want to or not.
Right.
Because of this COVID stuff, this COVID cap that's going to extend, 3 or 4 years that they're stretching this thing out to?
Oh,
you got guys that you're not going to be able to re-sign, guys that you don't want to re-sign.
Right.
Like Jimmy, like you said before the show started, you don't bring back none of these safeties.
No, they all gone.
So you're talking.
All right,
You
back
clear that room out.
Right.
back up
Yeah,
too.
exactly. So
Yep.
you're talking about a total defensive rebuild. And you're an aging quarterback who knows that his time is fleeting. Is he going to want to stick around for a rebuild? Like, at all?
And it might be 2 sides to that story. Matt Ryan probably telling them, hey, look, you bring in somebody else, I got to go. Can you just let me walk? We don't know.
Right.
We don't know. He could be saying that, though.
And I think that's a good point, because that goes into the GM and the coach also. Because if I'm a GM, I'm a coach, I'm Eric Bieniemy, who everybody loves. Everybody wants to talk about Eric Bieniemy. I have 2 coaching offers on the table. I have the Falcons on the table. I have the Texans on the table. I look at the quarterback situation. Where do I want to go? Do I want to go with the younger quarterback?
Yeah,
with higher upside, or do I want to go to a aging
seasoned veteran
36-year-old quarterback? Right. To your point, right? So you got to look at it, right? A lot of the people that we think that we're just slam dunks for are not as cookie cutter as we think, right? I think we really have to be expansive. And to be honest with you, I haven't heard the Dabo comparison, but
I'm gonna go ahead and call it. With y'all trying to, I love how people are going to try to wrench, guys like Dabo or Saban or whoever, like these highly successful college coaches. What some people fail to realize, these highly successful college coaches, they tend to like to stay where they are because of the amount of control that they have, at the school. It is a far different dynamic from college to the pros, right? You don't have the same control. You don't have the same authority that you do. It's harder to talk to a 28, 29-year-old defensive end who's making $100 million a year and trying to tell him he needs to step his game up.
There you go.
Okay? That's a different dichotomy. I can't say that Dabo couldn't do it. I'm just saying I don't know if they're willing to do it. You know what I'm saying?
You better ask Nick Saban. Talk to him, Jimbo.
But Dabo and Nick Saban ain't finna have a team full of 5-stars either, because of salary cap. So he looked good in college because he can recruit all the best players of one school. You can't do that in the NFL. There's a limitation there, baby, called the salary cap.
Salary cap and roster size. You got 90-something players on a college team. You got 53
gonna be limited
on, a full roster.
active day
right,
roster.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's jump into some chat again. We have since we've had a lot going on. Gregory Brown, I'm going to go ahead and credit you with this one, but I saw somebody else saying this further up the chat. But Gregory Brown said, a former Falcon stated that the brotherhood and the team was never the same after the Eagles' playoff loss. It was everywhere. That's possible. These are the things that are going to pop up, right, now that these guys are gone.
Yeah, it's going to start popping out of nowhere.
Slim Kid said, we don't need to rebuild too much talent. Just need a good HC and GM that can continue to bring in talent. Ryan and Julio are still playing well. That's a case to be made. You take a coach like a Bruce Arians down in Tampa. Bruce don't want to and ain't got no time for a young quarterback.
Nope.
Bruce wants a seasoned veteran. He left Arizona because he saw that Carson Palmer was about done. He goes into Tampa because you knew you had Jameis Winston, which at least had some experience, and there was a good chance that you were going to end up with somebody else, as they did with Tom Brady. So, it just depends on who they bring in. The champ says Matt Ryan has zero mobility and zero ability to extend the plays. He got to go. That's like you brought up, Mike. This is the natural evolution of the NFL. You're taking the concepts that they run every day, day in and day out in college, and because of the players that are coming from college, this is what they're used to running. The NFL is adapting to the talent that they're getting. Okay, I can guarantee you, whoever is quarterbacking the Falcons next will be, by virtue, a more mobile type quarterback. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be a Lamar Jackson, but he's going to be a quarterback who is more used to throwing on the run.
That's simply what's coming out of college, right? The quantity that's coming out of
by virtue of what these colleges are running, that's what you're going to get.
Right. Yep.
Unless you sign some veteran, but you're not going to do that because veterans right now, any of them that are going to be on the market ain't going to be worth having.
That's right.
B Strong says Matt Ryan would be dropping 30 points a game if he was using the West Coast offense. Yeah,
I believe it.
He thrived in a West Coast style offense.
An
offense that moved the pocket more, that created matchups. That's.
I mean,
go ahead.
You can't hand somebody. You can't hand Dirk Cutter Shanahan playbook and say make this happen. You can't do that, man. And whoever did that over there in the organization, you need to be ashamed of yourself.
That was Dan Quinn.
DQ.
Because you could hear it every time somebody asked him.
I believe so.
About it. Yeah. About the offense, it was, this is what we're running. This is what we're. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if there's one, like I said earlier, if there's one change I hope Raheem makes, if he's keeping Dirk Cutter, is, hey, go run what you want to run. Go run what you're comfortable with.
Let's see some fire wide. Let's see some fire wide like you did in Tampa, man. What's going on now?
Do what you do, right?
Do what you do,
if you're going to get fired, go down doing what you want, right? Eric D says, I truly believe that Matt is not the problem. Matt had a lot of turnovers with Dirk the first time. Dirk's play calling doesn't help a QB. I've said this from word go all offseason. Dirk Cutter is a coach that is predicated on his talent beating your talent. He's not predicated on scheming somebody open. He's not having his scheme beat you like a Shanahan, like a Brian DeBall up in Buffalo. Thank you. My brain locked up. Up in Buffalo. He's not like that. He's not like the Browns head coach, and I'm not even going to try to say that man's last name. Those people, they scheme. They have a scheme that they deploy to try to take out your best option on defense.
Yeah.
They try to neutralize. Mm-hmm. Dirk Cutter is like, nope, I have an elite freakish athlete in Julio Jones. I have an elite freakish athlete in Todd Gurley. I'm going to let these elite freakish athletes win. Yeah. Well, he's not taking into account that there are elite freakish athletes on the other side of the ball too.
Triple,
Right.
and and one of his being triple guarded.
Exactly. Speed Falcon for life says, let Greg Knapp call plays. I'm game for it right now. I'd let any dude. I'll call plays, and I don't even know nothing about play calling. I'm not even that good at Madden. But
go at the weak link, JR. Just go after the weak link on their side. That's what you got.
Right. do what they do to our defense.
Right. Yeah. Go after Isaiah Oliver. Because
call those plays.
So we finally get a game where Isaiah Oliver's sitting on the bench, and then what? Sheffield goes down. You're just like,
I think so.
You got to be kidding me,
Why they didn't fire that nutritionist?
I don't know, dude.
That person to train over there yet, man.
They got to do something because these guys are going down.
Get him out of here.
Going down like crazy. Let's see.
Boy, get him out of here too.
Code Yoko says, how do y'all feel about the offensive line for the Atlanta Falcons over the years that y'all been watching this team? It's it was a sore subject, right? The offensive line was the reason why you drafted 2 offensive linemen in the first round last year. Back to back. Which I'm gonna go ahead and call it. By the way, that right side is starting to really solidify. And
absolutely.
Look at you, boy.
That's a bright spot though. That's why it's not I wouldn't say it's 100% rebuild, because if you look at it, the offensive line as a whole has been a positive. If you really look at it, Carpenter, Hennessy, we really haven't noticed any drop off. There really hasn't been many times where those guys have gotten pushed back in the pocket. Jay Matthews has been steady as always, but the line has been good. That's why I think that the coach we bring in is important, because you're right. We do have a lot to work with, especially on the offensive line.
Which might go back to your theory, JR. They might let Raheem ride it out.
That's kind of what I'm saying, especially if
that might go back to your theory.
Right, especially if it's a thing where, okay, I'm gonna paint a scenario. I'm gonna get a little long-winded like I do. Y'all just ride with me, okay? I'm gonna paint a scenario. Say you're Dan Quinn, right? And you're wanting things to be a certain way because you're the boss, right? So you go to Raheem Morris and say, hey, look, dude, I know you really like that Tampa 2 stuff that you run, but let's keep that to a minimum. What I really want you to run, what I really want you to focus on is the 3 safety look, right? That's what I want to be our calling card. And Raheem says, okay, fine. That's what you want, boss. That's what we'll do. Then he goes to Dirk Cutter and said, all right, Dirk, I know what you really like is your 4 vertical wide receivers. I know that's what you like, but what I really want you to do is run this offense here, this, Shanahan-esque offense.
Right.
I know you may not be super comfortable with it, but hey, man, you can learn, right? Right. You can pick this up. You can learn. Here you go. Here, run this, this offense here. And now you're asking these guys to do things that they're not necessarily comfortable doing. That isn't what got them where they are, right?
Right.
And instead of them letting them be coaches and being the reason why you hired them in the first place, you're trying to pigeonhole them in what you want them to do. It's something you'll hear me say quite a bit. Don't draft a guy, to necessarily, fit your scheme. Draft the best guy that you can draft and figure out how to use him, right? Use what made him the worst thing you can do, because look at what he did with cornerbacks and safeties. How many cornerbacks did we draft and then make a safety?
Yes.
Ridiculousness, right?
Too many.
Draft a safety to be a safety. Draft a corner to be a corner, right?
Yeah, DQ.
Right. Draft a defensive lineman, a defensive end in Marlon Davidson, and that's the reason why you drafted him, because he played defensive end. That's what caught your eye.
Right.
Well, let's bump him down inside. What? That's not what the man did. The man played defensive end.
That's what you did. That's what you did to Crawford. We got from Dallas.
Well, and let me add one more thing on that second round pick, though. I do think one miss, though, that Dimitroff, Marlon Davidson will end up being a good pick. I think what we saw on tape from Marlon Davidson is good, but I do think that we did miss an Antoine Winfield from Minnesota in the second.
Of course,
because
that dude's a stud.
Don't do that to him, Mike.
Those are the picks that come back and always bite us.
But
hey, talent acquisition, please find us Antoine Winfields, as well. I like Marlon Davidson, but I think.
But how much is that? Is it DQ or Thomas Dimitroff walking into DQ's office going, okay, I got this guy here. But then DQ saying, well, I would really much rather have this player. And Thomas Dimitroff going, okay, that's what you want. That's what I get you.
And I'm thinking that how it all went, Jay. I'm feeling that. I think that's how it went.
Because, you look at TD's tenure during the Mike Smith era. And this is why I never had a problem with TD, okay? A lot of people, had problems with TD, and I got it. I understood. You blame the boss. But I never had much of a problem with TD because I really felt like he got the players that the coaches wanted. For Mike Smith, I felt like there, especially towards the end, Mike Smith lost what he wanted. He didn't know what he was trying to do. You brought in a Mike Nolan who, tries to use his amoeba defense, and loves to drop his defensive tackles into coverage, and let them play safety. So, then you're getting players for a weird, system there. And then you bring in, Dan Quinn, and, you're drafting players for his system, his fast and physical. Now you're drafting, smaller middle linebackers and, almost where you can't tell the difference between a middle linebacker and a strong safety,
Keanu O'Neal bigger than
right.
Devo.
Exactly. Right. And so, it's going to be real interesting to see what another coach does with these players. So let's jump into the chat for a few more minutes.
Ooh, they buzzing down
there.
there.
They are jumping. Which I knew they would be. Our chat's always jumping, but you let something happen and it really starts jumping.
Right. Even during the break. Love it.
Yeah. R2K says Ryan was the king of the audible. He was, and then I think Shanahan broke that. Does that make sense?
And he kind of got used to it, but then he also came out and said, "I run what Dirk Cutter tell me to run."
I think, when running what Shanahan wanted to run, and working under Shanahan, I really think kind of broke that want of Ryan to be an audible person, right? You didn't cultivate that, so it went away, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. Kendrick says Falcons need to start all over. They may have to. They may just have to.
Right. That's what we're talking about.
Let's see. Natureborn says 49ers, Colts, Jets, Giants, Detroit, Washington. Holy crap. All trying to steal Matt.
I bet they will.
It wouldn't surprise me one bit if we end up letting him go or whatever. He'd land on his feet. That's the part that I don't think anybody realizes. Matt Ryan.
And
Ryan wouldn't be out of a job but about 5 minutes.
You know who's gonna steal it? Where he from? He went to Boston College, didn't he? He up there from that Massachusetts area. He from Pennsylvania. Bill Belichick will steal him in a heartbeat. Right. I guarantee you that.
Let's see. Ira Thomas says next, Ryan, Julio, Tack, and Oliver. I don't know what point he was making there. Marty Young says, I can see 9-7 and Raheem Morris keeping his job. Dude, I bet you, I'll say this flat out. If they end up 7-9, 8-8, 9-7, there's a chance that he'll be here, especially if they're playing competitive ball.
And don't forget, he's one of the top head coaching prospects in the NFL still now.
Exactly.
So, a lot of people list.
You pair him with a GM that he wants, and look,
oh boy,
I'm gonna add to this conspiracy theory fire. Okay, in the early 2000s, who was the GM of Tampa Bay Buccaneers? $5 for who knows it.
Richard Mckay.
Good job, ding ding ding.
Oh,
point to Mike. Who was the defensive back coach on that staff that Rich McKay was the general manager of?
Raheem Morris.
If you say Raheem Morris. So there's a familiarity already with GM to coach relationship.
Oh boy.
Already there. Okay. Now, let me ask you this. What is the position title of one John Elway in Denver? President and CEO of football operations. It's not GM.
Right.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying here?
I see what you're saying.
So, just because Rich Mckay doesn't have a GM title, who in this room, chat room included, feels like this offseason was orchestrated by Rich Mckay and not Thomas Dimitroff? Look at the moves we've made. Never once under Thomas Dimitroff have we made the low risk, high reward free agent signings. Laquan Treadwell making the move for Hayden Hurst and not picking up his 5th-year option. The picks that you traded for him were the ones that you got from Mohamed Sanu. So those were free picks initially. Low risk, high reward. Okay?
There you go.
And you can add in Todd Gurley. Low risk, high reward. And a PR move to boot, but that's just my opinion. Hey,
Charles Harris and on and on.
Charles Harris. Low risk, high reward.
Yeah.
That is, if I could say this, that is one thumbprint that is not Thomas Dimitroff's. Thomas Dimitroff's thumbprint in free agency was a couple of big splashes and then bargain bin shopping.
Right.
What Rich Mckay was able to do was get a whole bunch of former first-round talents for next to nothing, and let's see if we can do something with them. There was a reason why they were first-round talents, right?
That Charles Harris probably going to work out, too.
And that's another...
And that's
He
great. That's a great one.
He don't want to.
Because if y'all look at this, we got the greatest compilation of first-round busts in NFL history. Like, remember, we set the record for most amount of first-rounders ever. What did that equate to? 0-5. To your point, JR.
I mean, this has a lot of stamps of that Philadelphia Dream Team from a few years ago. If y'all remember that one. Okay.
Oh, yeah, I remember
Let's see. MJ McCrudy says, I need one person to tell me when we can turn this around this year. I'm gonna go ahead and call it. I don't think it's gonna happen. Look, they're gonna have to show me.
If it was gonna happen, it's supposed to be happening past Sunday. If it was gonna happen, well, I mean, you don't want to go 0-4, but if it was gonna happen, it needed to start with that division game, and I think that will really put the nail in the coffin. Yeah, I mean,
Arthur Blank flat out said when they asked him, well, what was the reason of basically why'd you fire Dan Quinn? He straight said lack of winning. Like, there you go. I will at least say Arthur Blank didn't necessarily mince words, and I was glad to hear that. He just straight out said it was the lack of winning. And he wasn't just talking about this year.
No. It was a good combination of years now.
We won 14 games since the Super Bowl? Something like that?
Right.
No, more than 14, because you won 10 games in 17. But you had 2 years back to back, 7-9, and then you start 0-5. That's ridiculous. That's it's unacceptable when you have an MVP quarterback and a freak of nature wide receiver.
Right.
Those are unacceptable numbers. Shane Elliott says, do you think it would be smart if an OC would get with their starter QB and let him pick the plays that they like to run, and then the OC would call the QB plays that he liked to run? Okay, let me sum that up. That was a lot.
Right.
I'm going to summarize. In short, I think Shane's trying to say, don't you think the OC would get with the starting quarterback and go, hey, dude, what you like to play? What plays you like?
Right, that's right.
Okay, these are the plays you like. Let's run them.
That's logical.
You would think. There was something real telling a couple weeks back when Will McFadden, who works for the Falcons, their media department. He's a reporter for the Falcons. I use that term loosely because he just reports on the Falcons, for the Falcons, right? So when he made the statement that he wasn't seeing all these pocket moving and bootlegs and all the stuff that they had been working on in the off season, and he wasn't seeing any of that during the game, this is a guy who does get to watch practice.
Exactly.
This is a guy who does get to see what they're working on. And he's talking about they're not doing what they were practicing. Well, no wonder this stuff looked out of sync.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not doing, what you've been practicing, how do you expect to be good at it if you're not playing what you're practicing?
And that make absolutely no sense to practice it if you ain't gonna do it. You just wasting time
Yeah,
and reps.
exactly.
Right.
Good Lord Almighty.
In JR, it goes back to one of the worst statements I think Dirk Cutter may have said. He said that we have about 500 plays that we expose the players to. When we get to the season, we boil it down to about 100 plays, and there are 100 plays that they roll with it. But it seems like within those 100 plays, they only run the same 10 plays, right? Right. 3 plays. 3 plays. My bad. I'm sorry. The same 3 plays. To JR's point, right? So, you know, so that's a good. I mean, think about that. There are 500 plays. To your point, Raheem Morris, tell Dirk Cutter all 500 are. Make sure these guys know all 500 and can execute all 500. Like there should be no plays that are off, you know, the board at this point, man. Because, like I said, man, you know, it's just ridiculous.
It is that. So let's see, Sunshine UFO. I like your name, Sunshine. That's good, Sunshine UFO.
Yeah.
I think Arthur Blank saw your live stream on the Green Bay game when you asked, "Why do you put up with it, Mr. Blank?" I mean,
might say that.
Look,
might say they seen that live stream, JR.
I think Keanu Neal.
You want to get into that for a minute?
You get it. You can get it.
Hey, before we get into that, the Braves are up 6. So yeah, we looking good.
Chop on, baby. Chop on.
Chop on, right? All right. So yeah. So apparently now I missed this. So Mike, you're gonna have to fill me in on this one now. I heard apparently Keanu Neal was chirping on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you know what? I'll say this to the Pound for Pound family that's out there on live chat. I just want to know which one of you fans have been inboxing Keanu Neal, because he said that he is upset that Dan Quinn is gone, and you guys need to stop messaging him, telling him how excited you are that he's gone, because he believes that you guys are the reason that Dan Quinn is gone, right? So he's actually, when he says you guys, let's wrap ourselves in it as well. Us as fans, so we are the reason why a cornerback cannot stop a slant route. We are the reason why a cornerback cannot stop a go route. Right. We are the reason why on 3rd down and 4th down, we consistently give up plays.
Well, I didn't realize I had that much power.
I didn't know that either. I'm glad
Shout out to JR, because I think it was our thumbnail from last week. I think Keanu Neal saw our thumbnail and said, you know what, this is enough, okay? The fans just need to leave us alone. We're trying our best. And in the words of Todd Gurley said, he said, do you guys think we just go out there and try to lose? And for him to say that was kind of refreshing for me, because I wasn't
sure. I mean, I thought they were trying. Look, when you staring at a ball on kick coverage and you just staring at it, that looks like you're trying to lose. When you in the 4th quarter up by 10 and you take a grand total of a minute 30 seconds off the clock in the entire quarter, that seems like you're trying to lose to me. On the uneducated guy sitting out here in the boondocks. Don't go there. That seems like you're trying to lose to me.
Don't try to use the fans as a scapegoat. Good God, now is that bad over there?
Apparently.
So to that point, it was refreshing to hear him say, "We're not trying to lose." So that's good. Y'all are out there. Y'all are trying to win. Y'all are not winning, right?
Yeah, right.
But you know, like look at it though. It's like, you know, look at where we are this season, you know, Pound for Pound family. So Keanu Neal seems to think it's the fans. We seem to think it's the culture. But that sounds like, honestly, and I hate to say this about Keanu Neal, suffered a lot of injuries, but that sounds like the words of a guy on his way out. You know, some of these guys that are opinionated, that are pro Dan Quinn, you may have to go with him as well. So
they have to go be an assistant coach in college or something.
Yeah. Absolutely. You can go defend him in free agency. You know, wherever he goes, just say, you know what, agent, wherever Dan Quinn goes is where I go. And you go where he goes. But as far as putting on those nice uniforms, and think about it, we are this bad with such nice uniforms. Gosh, man, we look so great losing them.
Well, we look good losing, I'll tell you that. We got some good looking uniforms.
We make it look real good.
Hey, they got my money on it, so good on them.
Yeah, we're the swaggiest losers in the NFL.
I don't know. A lot of people really like them Chargers uniforms. They might think that they're the swaggiest losers in the NFL. Marty Young said, "We are the reason. We are the reason Neal is disappearing in games? ? Ha! He needs to get that 5th-year money back. Should be traded. Can't stay healthy, missing tackles. Look,
it's us, man.
Apparently, we've been mix it up. We've been hurting that man's knees or something. Genuine Music says it's almost time for Neal to go. He got one more injury away from being cut. Hawkins was looking good before he got hurt. I mean, we'll see.
I agree.
You know, maybe now with Dan Quinn gone, maybe the protection has been lifted off of some of these players.
It might be,
You know what I'm saying?
that's the fire. That one comment we got in the chat. That's the fire he might be talking about. He might be talking about that.
You never know.
Hey, good.
GA
All right.
Pyro Dog said, I think about Jim Harbaugh as a head coach. Y'all can keep Jim Harbaugh. I don't need that khaki wearing, weird talking, can't play or can't win at Michigan. Like, no, I'm good. He can stay where he is.
If you can't do it in Michigan, bro,
Right.
you sure can't do it in the NFL.
I know he has some.
I mean, if
had
you're in
some
the SEC, then
earlier success out there in San Francisco, but even he started to falter, you know, out there.
That's
so,
right.
R2K says, we as fans not out there missing tackles, getting burned for touchdowns. Last time
Totally
I checked,
agree.
look, I realize I am short and chunky and can't run fast, so I'm definitely not out on the field. Nobody wants me out there, so yeah, no, it ain't me.
it ain't
yeah,
no-
it ain't me.
They know who it is.
CJ Goat TV says, Isaiah Oliver, get your burnt toast every Sunday ass out of here. Yeah, I mean, flat out. There's a gentleman in our comments who, I don't know if he's related to Isaiah Oliver or whatever.
Oh yeah, whoever that
Reginald
is.
Oliver or whatever his
about it,
name
Jeff.
is. Always talking
Ooh,
about,
talk
you
about
know, how we don't know what we're looking at. But it's, I look.
Hey, hold on. Matter of fact, let's freeze frame on Reginald Oliver for a second. I got to give you your just due because you write paragraphs every week defending Isaiah Oliver. And let me tell you something. Like, if he gets beat for another touchdown, we may just have to bring you on the show one week, and you tell Pound for Pound family why Isaiah is such a great cornerback because he invited us. Did he not invite us to sit down with him so he can show us the game of the players that we don't see? And let me tell you something. If there are some players that I don't see, send them over. We'll analyze them. I change my opinion.
Right.
Listen, let me tell you something about my opinion. It's changeable, but you got to do some real selling. And let me tell you something. I'm not in a position to buy, but you really got to do some good selling to tell me what I'm seeing on Isaiah Oliver that we need to see. So, hey, keep the comments rolling. I'm sure you'll see this. I'm sure you'll write another paragraph.
Yeah, he'll write another one. I promise you that much.
And we'll keep it rolling. Anyway, just had to
Carnage Jackson says, hey, JRS Rock. What's going on, Rock? If y'all don't know, Rock is from the What's Up Falcons podcast. Good show if y'all ever driving and need something to listen to. That's a good one right there. Rock says,
Okay.
yeah, I agree the players shouldn't blame the fans because they aren't doing their jobs. Right. I mean, it's not us. We're not out there, you know? And blaming us for talking, basically being upset that y'all ain't winning. Look, we're fans.
Right.
That's our job.
Consumers.
Right.
Right.
That's our job. Okay. Let's see. B Strong says Josh McDaniels would be a great fit for Matt Ryan. It'd be interesting. Like, if you want an innovative coach who can at least make a scheme that fits the talent he has, I'd take Josh McDaniels.
That's not bad for Matt Ryan.
That would have had more traction had we kept TD around, right? But we'll see. You know, I wouldn't turn it away. But I really do have reservations after he did what he did out there in Indy. But he could have gotten word that Andrew Luck was contemplating retirement. So
I think that's what it was.
Let's see. Who else we got here? That was B Strong. Let's see. Natureborn says, I got a name for our defense. Can't get right. The can't get right defense. That's right.
Yeah,
Legion
of Doom, right, Mike?
Legion of Doom, baby. Legion of Doom, baby. That's right. LOD.
Legion of Doom. Sunshine says, with the unnecessary roughness flags, Neal's defensive style is obsolete. He's no longer scary, but has been exposed for the lack of coverage. That's it. You know, I mean,
they have been exposing him too.
They took the bite out.
They sure been going right at him too.
That's it. Oh, okay. Slim Kid. I wanted to read this one. That says, must admit, Pound, that I was wrong. Didn't think AB would fire TD because he had too much. Because we have too much talent. Well, if that talent was brought in by Mckay, there's a reason. I can defend TD, but can't defend DQ because of 0-5. But I like Morris and thinks he has a real shot. I'm going to be interested to see what Morris pulls off.
I'm telling you now.
I am very interested to see what he can do.
There's something to watch.
Holy crap. Redbird Eagle, I think you've been drinking. My man says, hire former Tech coach Paul Johnson to bring the option to the NFL.
He ain't been drinking, JR. He been smoking.
He been doing something.
He been doing both of them.
Look, my other team, when I started watching football back in 2008, was Georgia Tech, right? I felt like Georgia had too many fans. Not too many. They had enough fans.
Oh.
As in the sense that I didn't go to college, so I didn't have no allegiance to nobody, right? So I was going to root for the underdog and root for Tech until I realized how crazy the coach was. And I was like, nope, can't root for them no more.
There you go.
That coach done lost his mind.
Wait a minute. Somebody really put that in there? Paul Johnson.
Yeah,
Paul Johnson.
Man. He's having a bad day.
He's smoking,
all right,
drinking,
a name,
snorting, sniffing, puffing.
A name that keeps getting brought up is Wade Phillips. I've seen that name pop up in our chat multiple times.
Oh, my God.
Oh, no. Mike, no. You okay? Oh, no. You done picked up the trash can.
Trash can.
Wade Phillips.
Yeah.
Wade Phillips.
Hey, now, hold on now. I can defend that. Wade Phillips will set your defense up. Okay, that's what it is. I'm sorry. I recant. He'll set it up, but he won't keep it rolling. That was
right.
So, look, we can bring him in as a defensive consultant. How about that?
He can set it up. There you go.
Yeah, I'm setting that and Wade. There we go. Thank you.
Yeah. We can have Wade Phillips take over for Bob.
Man, exactly.
My bad.
Julian Coffey says, how do you feel about trading Julio or drafting Justin Fields? Now, this is going to be the $1 million question right here, right?
Yeah, that's the one.
I'll trade Julio. I hate to say it like that, as much as I love Julio.
Man.
I'll trade Julio because of Calvin, right? And because of what else you have at depth at wide receiver. But
that's right.
Unless you have a way to deal with the cap of Matt Ryan, drafting a quarterback that high, a Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, whoever else you're going to throw out there, drafting a quarterback that high, how do you sit that person making close to 20, 30 million a year, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And still paying Matt Ryan. One of these people have to be sat on the bench, and that's a lot of money to be sitting on the bench. So
okay. So this might be our first philosophical disagreement in the show, and it's a good thing. I love it. I love your point, but I think we really got to look at the Seattle Seahawks model.
Okay.
They had Matt Flynn. Matt Ryan is not Matt Flynn. I'm not saying that at all. But we signed Matt Flynn the Seahawks signed Matt Flynn to 5-year deal, 6-year deal, worth whatever, right? Paid him really good, right? But they also drafted this overachiever, underdog overachiever in Russell Wilson, right? And they were like, what in the world are you guys doing? Like, why would a franchise that has a guy that can be a good functional quarterback? Because I think Matt Flynn would have been a great quarterback, great fit. He would have made Seattle a decent team. But I think it was Russell Wilson that went over the edge. Like I said, I do think Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields both have the ability to be game breakers from the simple perspective of this. I think if you look at, it's almost like, and I hate to say this, but it's like Julio Jones with Roddy White. When Roddy White was on the way out, it was like, we all love Roddy. Roddy was one of my favorite Falcons receivers of all time. But you also knew that Julio was the heir apparent. Same with Julio now. Julio is now in that same position of where Roddy White was. Later in his career, we wanted to see Roddy play in a new stadium. Everybody wanted to see Roddy, right? But the reality is Calvin Ridley is your future. It's a different receiver, smaller receiver, quicker receiver. You really need a quarterback. And I'll be honest with you. There's one knock that I have on Matt Ryan is that I think with the deep ball sometimes he tries really hard to throw that deep ball, but sometimes he doesn't necessarily have his game is not catered around throwing the ball 50, 60 yards, throwing the ball, catching the receiver. And right, exactly. That's not been his game. But I think having a Justin Fields does cater, I think, a little bit more to a Calvin Ridley, just in terms of just more athletic plays. But we don't want to jump ourselves into a potential big situation. But anyway, I don't want to go too far into Justin Fields, Vic, any of that kind of stuff. I just think that it's not as far-fetched as we think. Because when we think transformation of culture, look at the Carolina Panthers. Because Jimmy and I did a show back in probably July or June where we said, hey, if we don't get this season right, we would have to take a page from the Carolina Panthers, which is why another coach that I'm really excited to talk about as we move this along is the coach Joe Brady,
okay,
the offensive coordinator for the Carolina Panthers. Anyway,
but for every one good quarterback out of the draft, there's three quarterback that was a bust.
Yeah.
So you really can't bank. Yeah. You cannot bank. You already got to establish.
I mean,
why would you want to bank?
I will say this: every year, there's going to be a Trevor Lawrence, a Justin Fields, a Baker Mayfield, a Patrick Mahomes, whoever, right? That's going to be every year. Because, every year there's another set of QBs coming out. And every year there's going to be a Johnny Manziel, a Sam Darnold,
there you go.
Jared Goff, who else? There's tons of them out there. Josh Rosen.
There's tons of them.
Josh
there's
Rosen.
More than good ones, I know that.
That are bust.
Sam
right? So I am hesitant just to chuck Matt Ryan. Like a lot of it has to do, like I said earlier, that he's the only quarterback of the Falcons that I have watched live, right? So I am going to be inherently biased. I'll fully admit that, right? But depending on who you bring in really depends on what you need to do. I see people saying bring in Greg Roman. Greg Roman's a great OC, but he's a great OC with a particular type of quarterback.
Right.
Matt Ryan's not that quarterback. Not even close.
Right. If you do bring in Greg Roman, you can front end. So say you do bring in one of the quarterbacks that he won't. Now you're gonna have to front load that deal with a huge bonus, but it's only gonna last for 1 year. That second year is gonna pick back up on quarterback money. So if you want to sit if you bring in a quarterback, you're gonna have to sit him for 1 year, kind of like that Patrick Mahomes deal. But that next year, Matt Ryan gonna have to go, and then you're gonna have to eat that cap. And then he ain't gonna be able to bring in players that he won't. That quarterback gonna look bad, and then it might start going down the drain all over again.
That's why I say.
So you kind of gotta watch out how you do it.
That's why I say at this junction
that's why it's gonna be interesting.
Right. That's why I say at this junction, whoever you bring in, you tell them, look, I'm gonna guarantee you 5 years, like absolute guarantee 5 years, because knowing that in 2 years I can walk away from Matt Ryan, right? And that'll give you 3 years to show me what you got. And in that 2 year time, how about you work on fixing the defense? We're not going to necessarily worry about re-signing a Hayden Hurst or re-signing a Todd Gurley or re-signing a whoever else. We'll go ahead and cut Alex Mack, move Hennessy to his natural position as center, right? Go with James Carpenter. Like basically what I'm saying, for the next few years, we're going to quit throwing money at the offense and fix the defense. And then by that time that the defense gets fixed, it should be the end of Matt Ryan's money. Right?
That's kind of how you're going to have to play this. That's kind of how you're going to have to cut simply off of his money.
Right. Like, you're just going to have to deal with what you got right now. And then when it comes time to where you can walk away from it, that's when you make a decision. Okay. Is he still playing at a good level, or do we just need to go ahead and walk away from it?
Right. There you go.
All right, we're going to hit a few more because we're bumping up on an hour 20. Yeah, we've gone way too long today, which I knew we were going to. Hey, there was a lot to talk about today, and there's going to be a lot to talk about as we go forward, right?
Exactly.
Something I'm going to do as we go is I'm going to continue to bring up coaches that we haven't necessarily been hearing about. Today I brought up the OC from Buffalo, Brian Dovell, and Hope, and I'll continue to do so. But I'm going to read through these last 3 or 4 comments, and then we're going to get out of here. Anthony Wright said, it'll be super funny to me if Julio and Matt see all this negativity as Falcon Nations wants us to lose and get a high draft pick, and then Matt and Julio and the team goes off and win 10 to 11 games. Man, I would love it. I would absolutely love it. I would much rather sit here and sit here for an hour and actually talk about the game instead of the team, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? Right now, we ain't been able to talk about the game because what's the point, right? Slim Kid said, totally disagree. Roddy had no speed and 0 separation. Julio is still a top 3 wide receiver. Night and day with the Roddy situation. As soon as we get the best wide receiver duo in the league, we break it up, ? Bad move in my opinion. I agree. Right now, I agree with what you're saying. I understand the point that Mike was making about the, the Julio Jones, Roddy, now Julio Calvin. I understand that, right?
I understand that.
Exactly. Sizzle Game says you're getting rid of the best player on the franchise, already a Hall of Famer. That's what a lot of people feel. I feel like they are. I feel like they're trying to get rid of, because you got to think about it, Falcons fans. Until Matt Ryan got here, you didn't have back-to-back winning seasons. Period. Point blank in this entire franchise.
Forgot about that.
Okay.
And here's the thing. Nobody wants to get rid of Julio Jones. We appreciate Julio Jones. As a matter of fact, it is the appreciation we have for Julio Jones. Whilst we might say, if he wants to say, hey, I may be interested in going somewhere where I have a chance to compete for a ring, he deserves the opportunity to compete for a ring. That guy is a Falcons for life. I don't care what anybody says. Listen, let me tell you something. Deion Sanders gets more clout for being a Falcons for life than Julio Jones. Let me tell you something. Deion Sanders played for every other team in the NFL. Julio Jones has played for the Atlanta Falcons. So we're not in a rush to get Julio Jones out of here, but this is a business. No. And at the end of the day, if you respect Julio's body of work, I mean, true enough, we could appreciate the cap freedom. Right. And we would appreciate seeing Julio compete, because football is not a forever game. Like I said, Jimmy, what is NFL? Not for long. I always said it. Not for long. So allow Julio to do what he has to do. So the point about to the person who commented earlier about, just Roddy, Julio, all of that kind of stuff. I think that, we're not trying to get Julio out of town. We love Julio. As a matter of fact, we are the biggest Jet Jones supporters that you will find anywhere else. But I think it comes to a point where, do you really know what it's like to be Julio Jones when you give your all every day and you're coming home and you're 0-5, 0-6? I mean, if you need a better example, AJ Green, who has been the absolute fabric of the Cincinnati Bengals, literally told his offensive coordinator in the huddle, excuse me, on the bench, like, hey man, get me out of here, man. Like I need to, can I go somewhere and compete for a championship? And that's ultimately what you want to give these guys a chance to do. So
anyway, Jay Nebergall said, I would steer away from any college coach. That is a failed experiment that has happened time and time again. Yeah, I mean, college coaches fail in the pros more times than they succeed.
Just don't work. Don't work.
Now, Matty Ghost tipped us $5. We appreciate you there, Matty, on that one.
All right,
he said, draft a QB from North Dakota. He's a 3rd or 4th round pick. No money spent.
I like him.
I think by the time the draft rolls around, there's a good possibility that kid's going to be in the 1st round. I've seen a lot of his name come up quite a bit. Let's see. We're going to pick up a few more. Let's see here. Anthony Wright said, one thing the coaches should do is bench Tack McKinley in favor of Charles Harris at right defensive end and let Tack be a rotational player. You know what? At this point, I'm down with whatever they want to try to do there. I don't care.
Do it.
Well, what does it matter at this point? What we're doing ain't working, so whatever.
Right.
Let's see. And the last one is going to be from the champ. Thanks for the time, Pound for Pound crew. I think that's a good one to hit on.
Hey,
look, we appreciate y'all.
Appreciate you, man.
We've been going at this for almost an hour and a half. We've had over 100 people in this chat while the Braves are playing and the Titans and Bills are playing. So we appreciate y'all.
I love y'all.
That's amazing.
Yes,
that's awesome,
yes,
right?
Sir.
So we thank y'all so much. Keep an eye on the channel. On Saturday, Jimmy and Mike will have their preview of the next game coming up. Oh, come on.
Don't laugh.
I don't know what they're going to talk about. We don't know. They'll figure it out. But we'll be back next Tuesday live like we always are, 7:30. Go Braves. Maybe it's a thing where the Falcons are sacrificing their season for the Braves and the Dogs. Right?
Hey, hold on, man. I'll take it.
Hey.
Go
right.
Dogs.
Who knows,
For 9. I'll take it for 9.
So either way, we thank y'all. Y'all can always find us on Twitter. I'm at Grim1128. That's GRIMM1128. Jimmy?
You can catch me at Jimmy Obama. That's at Jimmy Obama. JIMMYOBAMA. Mike, go ahead, baby.
And that's your boy Big Mike Dub, man. MIKE_DUB. Check us out on Twitter. Always love Pound family. Appreciate y'all. Go Braves. Go Falcons.
And also one last note for those who were wondering about Toby D. He has launched his new channel. It is the Toby D Show. I will put in a link in the description. Y'all go give that man a follow. Check out what he is doing. It is awesome. It is amazing. And hope y'all
Show,
go support him for that, because it is he's doing some good work over there. So, love y'all, folks, and we'll holler at y'all next week. And as always, Falcons fans, rise up.
Rise up.
Rise up, fellas.
Mike.
Oh, he hung up again.